So good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Nandini.
All right. So RISE is a reboot, invest, scale, and empower yourself. It's an initiative from Women Who Code Hyderabad to enable women on a career break to return to work. So this is like all the activities done by Women Who Code chapter, Hyderabad chapter, is to inspire women to excel in technology careers. So thereby they can create a world where diverse women are better represented as engineers and tech leaders. So here in this, everybody gets an equal opportunity to participate irrespective of their demographic characteristics, political affiliation, socioeconomic status, or a preferred language. So everybody is equal here. And this does not tolerate harassment of members in any form. And you can read the complete code of conduct at womenwhocode.com/code of conduct. So, and so this is a new initiative to help participants who were on break to get to the new jobs, if in case if they are interested to get back. And today we have a new trainer. So the trainer's name is Prasanna, and he has around 12 years of experience in software application development. And he has experience in most of the enterprise level applications in various industries like telecom, banking, and risk technology. And he's currently working in an MNC as an SME for fintech product development team. And thank you, Prasanna, for volunteering to train participants here. And thanks a lot for your time. Over to you, Prasanna.
Thank you, Nandini. Thanks for this introduction session. Yeah, let's go into the session. Thanks, participants, for joining today's Connect. I know it's a Monday morning, a little bit tougher to get in the early morning. Yeah, let's go with today's session. Is about JDBC. You might be aware of the agenda of this today. And all through the while, you have gone through various sessions in Java, like starting with introductions, threads, data types in Java, and multi-threading, like that. So today we will focus more on a database connectivity, how to connect a database via Java program. And making a connection to a database is a primary part in the enterprise level applications, as all the applications cannot run on a short memory like heap memory or a stack memory. You need to persist the data into a separate relational database like a SQL Server or Oracle or a Sybase or DB2, like that relational database available in the market, where all the enterprise application connects to that environment and able to access it and store the data for online means. So I'm just sharing my session screen. So please let me know if you're able to see the screen.
Yes, Prasanna, we can see the screen.
I'm making full screen mode now. So just a short introduction. JDBC. To connect a database from Java network, we use a term called JDBC, that is called Java Database Connectivity. And it is a separate API or a separate code written in the Java framework itself. So you have to use that code or call that code to make your database calls. So that's what JDBC API helps us. So it helps us to create, read, update, and delete. So we say this operations called as CRUD operations, making a CRUD operation on the data. So if you note one thing, JDBC connectivity or a CRUD operation is only actionable on the relational database. and non-relational database is not applicable for JDBC APIs. So let's see what is those. Okay. So this is how the architecture looks. Database, you can imagine like a MySQL database or a Microsoft SQL Server database or Oracle database, like that. And Java application is application which you run in your system, where you have installed in your system, any JDK 8 or a 10, like that. In that JDK 10 package, Java Developer Kit package, you will have the JDBC code in turn written by the Sun Oracle framework. So that calls, we can see in going down the session, how to use it and how to make a connection to a database, how we can read the data. So this is how the architecture looks on a broader level. So JDBC is a Java specific one. Since Java is software independent or operating system independent, similarly JDBC is also a database independent. You don't need anything on a particular context. Like for SQL Server, I need a particular Java code. For a Oracle server, I need a particular Java code. It is nothing like that. It is totally independent. Your Java JDBC code is independent of whatever database you are connecting. That's what I want to mention here. And JDBC is not SQL independent. What that means? You guys might be aware of writing database queries, right? Select star from employee or insert into employee values, like that you're having, right? So for SQL Server, you have a set of SQL queries, but Oracle Server has a set of SQL syntax. So if you're using a SQL Server, you should follow the syntax followed in SQL Server for making JDBC connectivity. If you're connecting JDBC to Oracle Server, you should follow Oracle syntax. So that's what we are saying. JDBC doesn't make a SQL query independent. It is totally non-independent. Okay. So on a single line, I can say use the commands understood by all the database. Like if a particular database understands a particular query, then use that in your query. Don't use a different one. One second. Last part is JDBC non-relational database. So non-relational database means like MongoDB, Cassandra, or Dynamo. Like apart from the ones we said earlier, like SQL Server. It's here, right? One second. Yeah, SQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle, H2R relational database. Whereas others are non-relational database. Okay. So this MySQL, Oracle, Sybase, SQL Server, DB2, Informix, or a relational database. So JDBC is applicable only for relational databases. We need to make sure that. So JDBC at an enterprise level or a broader application level, how it looks. So Java is a system or a project where we have installed your codes. And database is a separate entity. It can be Oracle or a SQL or a DB2 relational database. It is a different server. It will be installed in different servers. How do you make connectivity to this database? You can use three of these forms. One is JDBC API call. Other one is Java persistence call. Other one is Hibernate ORM. So via these three things, you have to make a connection database. So the basic framework for connection database is JDBC API. So even though you call Hibernate's code or a framework will in turn call the JDBC API. So if you use Java persistence, in turn it calls JDBC API to do the CRUD operations. So that's the reason we are insisting you now to understand more about the JDBC API, so that these framework will be more easier while we able to learn on it. So a little more deep into the JDBC concept, how a JDBC looks. So these are the various interfaces, classes we have in JDBC. We have a driver manager. After that, we have a driver, and then connection, and making a statement and result set. So this is a complete roadmap of any operations you want to make to a database. So a driver manager is a person or an object registers your driver. Means if you want to connect to a SQL system, you have to register your SQL driver. If you want to connect to Oracle system, you have to register the Oracle driver. Okay, in the JDBC API, once the registrations process is done, you have to establish the connection. Java will make a connection established to a database. Assume it is a SQL database now. I'm going to talk about SQL database going forward. To make a connection to a database, we need to know the database host name, the server name or IP address, and then the database port number, and then the database username and password. So with that, we can successfully establish the connection to the data SQL server. After that, writing the statements. Statements are nothing but the queries. So I'm making a call to fetch all the records from the employee table. So the DB query for a SQL server will be select star from employee. So I need to write that query and pass inside the statement interface. Once that statement interface is executed in the DB side, it will give me the result set. So that result set will be an iterative object where I can loop through the result set and see the records one by one in the Java layer itself. So this is called fetching the records. Okay. This is a complete picture of all the actors involved in this JDBC operations. So we need to make a JDBC driver and then make a connection established, and then statements, and then prepare statements and callable statements. I'm just giving a one-liner here. We will see what actually means. Okay. And then we have a result sets, and then we have batch updates and transactions and database metadata. So these are the concepts we will be covering today. Okay. So starting with the JDBC driver. So JDBC driver is a component or a software which helps the Java application to interact with the database. So we have totally 4 drivers actually. JDBC ODBC driver, native API driver, network protocol driver, thin driver. So based upon your software you need to connect, or based upon the database you need to connect, you have to select the driver you want to register and then proceed forward. Okay. I don't want to go deep into the drivers. I have given a reference here. You can just read about it, actually, what it really means. So let's directly go into the code. Okay. So JDBC connection as a class called connection class, java.sql package.connection. Okay. So if you want to make a connection to a relational database, you have to use this connection class. So how to load the JDBC driver? I said in the first point, right? We need to register the driver. So if you want to open a JDBC connection, you need to load the driver first. So this is the syntax: class.forName driver class name. And you see below, this is a actual driver name for one of the database called H2 database. Okay, class.forName oracle.h2.driver. And if you want to load for SQL, we have a SQL driver also in place. You can load that. So one thing you have to note, you have to register your driver only once. You don't need to repeat every time. Okay. So let's see for driver name for Oracle SQL Server. Okay.
Prasanna, if possible, can you please add some interview questions? If you give us some idea about that, it will be great, so that as we learn the concept, we will get to know, like.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. I will do that. Okay. Like as part of this session, we have a few things to discuss also, like questions and all. Like I will help you on that. Okay. Yeah. So this is actually hard code registering the JDBC driver. This is the syntax we use. Okay. After making a registration, we do establish the connection with the help of the registration. So how we can achieve that is opening a connection object. So you have to call java.sql.driver manager class. After registering the driver, you need to get the connection. Okay. So you see this code now. String URL. They are passing a database specific URL here. I will come to that point one. Let's see the code here. Connection is a class. Connection is an object. And then driver manager is an interf class. Dot get connection of URL. So this is the actual syntax to get the connection. Okay, driver manager class as a method called get connection. Inside that, if you pass the particular database name and the particular server name, you can establish a connection. And this one, the first box, right? You guys see I'm highlighting this, right? This is for a non-secure database. Non-secure database means a database which doesn't need any username and password. For a secure database, you need to pass the username and password. And then in the get connection, you need to pass as a parameters. So in this session, like if in the past sessions, you might be knowing, right, how to call a method and how to pass as a parameters. So I am taking that as a heads up and proceeding with that. Okay. So you can pass the username and password as a second and third parameters for a database. So this is another way of establishing a connection. And third way of establishing connection is passing it as a properties. So I'm calling a properties. I'm loading all the username and password in that properties. And then passing that as a properties here instead of username separately and password separately. The both means the same, but the way of calling is different. Okay. So it is opening the get connection, and then this is a simple command to close a connection. Connection.close. So you note one thing, whenever you open a connection, it is a costly operation. A pipeline between Java and JDB database will be enabled once you open the connection. You can transfer any data to a database. So it is mandatory to close the database or close the connection once your operations is completed. Okay, so always it's a good thing. Once your code is completed or at the end of the code, you should close your JDBC connection so that your memory is not occupied throughout the time. The pipeline is enabled always. It should be cleared off. So that's what we are mentioning here, closing the connection with the resources. So we have seen registering the database by class.forName and then establishing the connection driver manager.get connection. And then in that connection, we are passing the URL of the database and then username and password. After that, establishing the connection, you're gonna write the statements. So SQL Java.SQL.statement is the interface you can use to execute the SQL statements. Your SQL statements can be either a database query or a database update. Okay, all the execute queries and updates you can easily write using this statement. So how we gonna do that? So statement interface is being called with a method called connection.create statement. This connection is already created here. Okay, with that connection we are creating the statement. Excuse me. Now let's see what statement you're gonna write here. Executing a statement. So in this connection, we created a statement. Statement is equal to connection.create statement. So using that statement, we're gonna write execute query. So for what query you're gonna execute? So see, this is a query. Select star from people. Okay. So select star from people, and then in the result, this will execute the code present in the database side. It will fetch all the records from the people database, and then this is the result set. You're gonna while loop the result set and get the values. So this looping is called fetching process, fetching the data from the result set. So next we go. This is a fetching process. Let's see update process. The SQL statement varies. Update the people database. Set name is equal to John, where ID is equal to 123. So you need to write an update query to update the name of the people as John, where is ID is 123. Okay. So you see the statement varies now. Statement dot execute update and then SQL is passed. Here statement dot execute query, whereas here statement dot execute update and the rows affected. How many rows are updated will be returned here, and this can be printed out. So the first block is fetching the query, fetching the data. The second block is executing the update. Next, closing the statement. You have executed the statement. You're gonna close the statement. Statement.close. So it is, as a best coding practice, it is always good to close your statement inside try and catch block. So this is the best practices we used to follow in the in a software industry. You see here, the result set we fetched, right? These are the result sets. Name, age, and all. This is how it looks. Name, age, gender, John 27, male, Jane 23. This is how the data looks when you're fetching the database. So statement.execute query, select star from people means it will fetch all the data and put inside this result set object. And after that, we can execute via looping through the result set. Like while loop is used to loop through the result set and print one by one. Like a get name, get age, get the gender. That's how we get name, get string name, get long age. Okay. That's what I'm saying here. Iterating the result set. So once the data is present, once this complete tabular column is present in this result, we're gonna access each and every row or each and every cell using the syntax called result.next. So this will iterate in a while loop manner so that every time the first record is accessed and then it proceeds, keeps on till the record get completed. So next method is used for result set iteration. And for accessing the column, you have to give the particular column name, age, gender, name, age, like that you have to give. So name is a string column, so get string. Age is an integer column, so get integer. So you have to know the data type of your column, what you are retrieving. Based on that, you can place it here. So this is how get accessing columns uses this syntax called get x-axis method. So you can fill what is the data type you're gonna fetch. So you're accessing the column now. Okay, let's go for a short quiz. What is the method executes the simple query and returns the single result set? So far we have seen the code, right? From you guys, can you help me to answer this?
Execute query.
Okay. Is everyone good with that? Okay. So yeah, execute query is the method which helps us to execute a simple query and returns a result set. So result set is nothing but the table data. Whereas the execute update, it makes an update on the data. It doesn't returns the result set. Okay. Yeah, next one. The object provides you with the methods to access the data from the table. With which object you can access the data from the table? You can access the columns.
Result set.
Yes, result set is the only object where the JDBC API will assign the data once you execute the query or execute the updates. Okay. So with that result set, you can while loop that with the next method, and then you can access the columns.
So here I have a doubt. So you told that we will first register for which database we are going to access. Then we will do establish the connection. Then we will write the statements like or create whatever. Then we'll execute. After that, we'll fetch the data. Then we will close the connection, right? So the result that will be available. So we are not like manipulating the data from the database directly. So the result set will be available after the connection is closed. And where in which I mean the which memory will it be there?
Yeah, result set is an object which is present in the Java side. Okay. So
okay.
So once your connection is closed, the pipeline will be disabled. So result set also will be disabled at that time. So everything comes on a single connection line only. After your registration, connection get established, and then statement get established, and then result set will get established. And then after result set established, you need to access the data and show it in your software. Show it in your Java UI window. Okay, after you showing that, you have to close the result set first, and then statement, and then connection. So this is how the order we follow. So once you close everything, your memory will be flashed out and the pipeline will be released. So it is not necessary to maintain the data in result set. Once you get in the result set, take it to the Java site, take it to the Java collection site, use it for the purpose.
So will that data will be available always, like whenever we needed?
No, it is not. Okay. Actually, if you hold that, this is a bigger data, right? You should not hold all this. It is a costly operation. Assume I'm just giving a 3 records here. That is fine. In enterprise application, it's a bigger number of records. So yes, what you need to do is that you need to implement any caching mechanism or like that to establish this. So that this data is maintained always.
Okay, so in that case, we will just take only once.
Exactly. So whenever you need, you will take that.
So after that, the data will be available in the cache always for
If
us to.
if we implement the caching mechanism, that will be available. If not, it will be washed out, the result set.
So in which area the result set will be available? After closing the connection, will it be available?
No, it won't be, sir. After closing the
So,
connection, the result set will be available. So before closing the connection, you need to make sure the result set is persisted to any collection object, or it is shown in or captured in any other global variables.
okay. So once we fetch the data, the result set will be available. After
Yeah.
that, suppose if we want to access the data, then we need to collect it in the collection object, and then if we close, so the data will be available in the collection object.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, we are proceeding. Thank you. So this is another question. The database system compiles a query when this query gets compiled, whether you're having a right query or a wrong query. When you will get to know.
Database system compiles the query when it is executed.
Actually thing is that when you write this query, select star from people, Java doesn't compile that query because Java is just a compiler which understands the Java language only. It doesn't understand the SQL query language. If you give a wrong query also, Java will compile still. But the Java will fail only when it executes that statement. When when statement dot execute query is called, that time the the SQL will fail from the database side. That failure will be sent to Java. So this is one executed is called. Okay.
So exception.
Yeah, during execution, like when you are executing, the compiler, the SQL the queries will be compiled from the database system.
Runtime exception we will get. Okay.
Exactly. So this is the JDBC ODBC bridge. I am not diving into this deep, so not taking the question here. Okay. Yeah. So this is hands-on for you guys actually. So if you guys are able to do that, this will be great. Still good hands-on so that you can cover all the concepts what means conveyed to as of now for this hour. So we need a Java program to ask the customer what you like to place the order. If we choose the option 1, then program will ask the customer ID. Only input the existing customer ID from the customer table. And next the program list of products. So what you basically need is, first the customer will show the option 1. Then you have to enter the customer ID. Suppose you are something like a role ID. Okay, and it will list you certain products like product 1 and product name, product 2 and product name. And if you want to select that, if you select the product 1, the system has to get the list of restaurants which is having this product. So it's basically 3 tables you need: customer, product, and restaurants, and customer ID and customer name, product ID and product category, product name, restaurant ID. So first I am entering the customer ID 1001. Okay. Once I enter that, it will list me all the products in this product table. Then the customer enters what product ID you want. So suppose I enter the product ID as P1. Okay. And then it should list out what is that actually the P1 product details, like product name, restaurant name, and the restaurant rating. So it is a combination of these 3 tables. You need to list out me the actual product which is available in which restaurant. So that's what they expected from this hands-on one. Okay.
Can you give me an example for that?
Okay. Example is when you run a Java program. Okay. First, the message should come. Enter your customer ID.
Okay.
When I enter 1. Okay.
Okay.
When I enter 1, it should show welcome. The name against 1, Prasanna. Welcome Prasanna.
Okay.
These are the products available. You have to list out what all the things available in this products table. Please enter the product you want to search. I enter P1, that is a product 1. Example I'm giving. It will search the product 1 names here, and these are the restaurant names available with this product. And finally, the end of the result will be, I want to know what all the restaurants having this product.
So product, you mean to say specifically like
Anything. It can
like
be product or a dish or anything. I'm just giving example, a restaurant name or a shop name or a shop rating, like that also you can keep. Product
okay.
can be anything like a suitcase or a mobile phones or a laptop, like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
in this case, which database is? I mean, we can
there is
have
no specific anything can be used. You can use anything. There is, so since the Java is not a dependent one, it's a totally independent. You can use anything at your end. Okay.
Because we don't have anything installed.
Yeah,
like
you can install from your local machines. Actually, you can install SQL Server. We have a lot of trial versions available. You can install that.
Okay. Which version, Prasanna?
But there is no specific version. You can use latest itself.
Okay.
So next we dive into something called prepared statements. So far we have seen normal statements. Let's see what is prepared statements. Prepared statements are nothing but reusable ones. Like you can pass any variable dynamically. Instead of, so far we have seen just hard coding the values in the query. So going forward, to dynamically pass the values, also to increase the performance, we use execute statements. Okay. So you see the statement, update people, set first name is equal to question mark. So this is a delimiter. Last name is equal to question mark. This is a delimiter. Where ID is equal to question mark. This is a delimiter. So basically, I'm going to update the people table, first name and last name for this person ID. So prepared statement, I'm calling here. Similarly, connection object being used, connection dot prepare statement, and then this SQL is passed as a parameter, and then I'm passing this dynamically. Set string 1, 2, 3. One is Gary, first name. Last name is Larson, and the ID is 1, 2, 3. So for ID 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna set the first name as Gary, then last name as Larson. Since this is update statement, I'm gonna write prepared statement dot execute update, and it will be returning me number of rows affected. So prepared statements are reusable prepared statements. You can reuse this statement anytime. You can pass any values dynamically via UI also. Okay. And this will increase performance. So this is what I'm saying here. Select star from people where ID is equal to question mark. This is a delimiter where you're going to pass it by set XX methods. So ID can be integer or long. So set long 1, 2, 3. 1 is the first index of the delimiter 1. Okay. So, and then prepared statement, connection dot prepared statement. This is what we've seen. Yeah. 2 parameters means 1 and 2. And this question mark is mandatory for prepared statement. So that your SQL JDBC will understand, I will get the value coming soon. Like I will get the value in the next code, like that. So execute queries, same like statement, you need to add prepared statement. That's it. Prepared statement or execute. And this is the update statement is execute update. And so execute query, you just need to get it in the result set, similar like statement, and you need to do while looping. So this is how the prepared statement looks. So you see here, the real benefit of prepared statement is I have a one query, I have a prepared statement created, I'm passing the values here. Similarly, I'm executing it. Again, I'm passing the values here. I'm executing. You see, I use a single query and use it multiple times. Getting it? Yes. So 1, 2, 3 is nothing but index. 1, 2, 3. If there is only one delimiter, you should use 1. Set string, set long is the data type you're gonna pass.
Suppose if there are many rows, so each time we have to, how many times we are going to write this one?
Sorry, I missed your question. Can I come again?
No, if there are like thousands of rows, then each time you're going to write this update, execute update, like that much data.
If you want to like, you can't update for 1,000 records at a time, right? It is always 1 or 2 only update time. So suppose I want to update the first name and last name for a particular ID, I will write it here. Assume
Okay.
if you want to update in a bulk manner, if you want to update a bulk data, you can execute here. It's not necessary you have to write 1,000 times, but you can still write 1,000 times. How you can do is that, can you help me to understand that? How you can do that using 1,000 times? Assume I want to update Gary and Larson for all the IDs. How I can achieve that?
Star.
No. I can loop it. I can use for loop.
Okay.
Getting it? So I will have one prepared statement, set string, set long. In that, I will make it for loop.
Okay.
And make the ID alone differs.
Okay.
Getting it?
So we will try to get all the, I mean, how many ever rows are there? We will get the total count, and then we have to just write a for loop, and then for all the rows will get updated.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is what it means actually. It takes time for a database to parse a SQL string and create a query plan. A query plan is nothing but analysis of how a database to execute in a more efficient way. Okay. If you submit a full SQL statement for every query or updated database, the database has to parse that query and then create a query plan. But if you are using an existing prepared statement, that is as both SQL parsing and query plan been already executed. So this will speed up the execution and decreasing the parsing and query plan. So you're getting right. While you're using statement, you will say like something like select star from people or update people set first name is equal to something. If you run this statement, every time you execute query or execute update, the JDBC or a database will parse that SQL and then prepare a query plan every time you run it. But if you're using prepared statement, only once. Prepared statement, parsing and query plan will prepare only once, and every time you use execute query and update, it will just execute the data, not the plan. So it means it is getting cached. For first of all,
can you please repeat this statement once more? Sorry.
So just recollect, okay? Just recollect how our statement looks. Select star from employee, correct? Where select star from people, where employee ID is equal to 1001. Okay. And then I'm trying to execute that statement. If I run that statement, in the database side, the statement will be parsed. The parsing will happen. And then the query plan will happen. Query plan, you guys know, right? What is query plan? Query plan is nothing but it is a database term. It is a database process. How to efficiently read that query, how to efficiently run that query in my system. So that's what the query plan it is. Okay. So it is a database term. So in the plain statement object, you need to run this parsing and query plan every time in the database side when the query is executed. But in the case of prepared statement, only once. So you see here, how many times I run execute query, once and two. If I go still we go on, the parsing will be happening only once. At this stage itself, the parsing will happen and the query plan will be prepared. But in the case of normal statement, over here, every time you pass statement or execute update, the query plan and the parsing will happen every time you do this. So that's what I meant here. Okay. So prepared statement can internally cache the objects internally and then reuse it. So the cached parsing and the query plan will be potentially used across the Java application so that instance application serves in a cluster. Okay, yeah, they are mentioning the benefit of caching the prepared statements in the database. The prepared statements in the Java application 1, Java application 2 gets cached here and it will be reused here itself. It won't go to Java and come back again. So next we see callable statement. Java.SQL package.callable statement. So far we have seen select statement, update statements like that. Those are all simple database queries. Now we go dive into calling a stored procedure. You guys might be aware of stored procedure, right? A stored procedure is nothing but or a kind of methods or a functions in the SQL side, or functions being written like a bulk PL SQL functions written in the database side. How we can call those? So stored procedure is a function or method in a class that present inside the database. Some database heavy operations may benefit performance by being executed inside the same memory. So this stored procedure present in the database side. So we're gonna call that stored procedure from the Java layer. So that is where callable statement comes. Let's see the syntax first. We have seen statements, prepared statements, now callable statement. So callable statement is a class. We have an object created. Connection syntax remains same. Connection, driver manager or get connection. In that, passing the connection dot prepare call. This is a method, prepare call. Inside that, you have to use a keyword called call. Calculate statistics is a stored procedure name present in the DB. And then if it accepts any input, if it has a parameters, then you have to give question mark like prepared statement and then close the quotes. If the stored procedure returns the result set, then you need not default the result set. You need to specify these categories already when callable example. Okay. You see now, this is a complete code. Callable statement, connection.prepare call the calculate statistics. And then run 2 question mark is there. And then these are the extra parameters. These are all optional ones. Let's cover later. Let's not confuse that. So this is how we call the callable statements. Diving more deep into that, call statistics will accept 2 parameters. You can set the parameters using question mark as we did in the prepared statement. So set string param 1, set integer 1, 2, 3. So they are passing param and 1, 2, 3 here. So you're all set now. You are calling a calculate statistics stored procedure and pass the parameters. And then what next? You're going to execute it. Callable statement dot execute query. So it will be storing the result here. The statistics will be calculated and will be stored here. If the stored procedure is just an update, you might be known of the stored procedure, right? Whether the whether your stored procedure is going to return us the data or is going to update the data. Based on the need, you're going to change your code, execute query or execute update, similar like what we did in the earlier statements. So callable statement reiterating, and it is only used for executing the stored procedures. So this is an example of multiple callable statements. We have one callable statement. The data query plan and parsing will be done only once, and it will be cached in the database, and then you will pass the parameters. You see here, execute query, but you see here, I'm using execute batch. How we can do that? You can add this statement into one batch, another statement into another batch, and then execute batch. This is called bulk updates. Doing a bulk updates in the callable statement by adding your parameters in a batch format so that you can execute that batch. So
Sir, I
what
don't
you
understand what is a batch. Batch, like need. Even you're telling
bulk.
us the callable statement is for to call the store procedure. So
Yes.
can you explain that?
So far I have explained, right? Till this we are clear, right? Stored procedure, you can execute the callable statement and we can execute the query and execute update. You are clear with this?
Yeah, I from this I got to know that it is similar to prepared statement.
Correct. So stored procedure is nothing but a method or a function present in the database. You are aware of that?
No.
Okay. Similar like Java methods, we have methods in the database, like user defined methods. Okay, like calculate statistics is one of the method is being written. In fact, you also can write a methods in the database. To call that, you have to use callable statement. So what
Okay.
is a batch? Batch is nothing but a bulk. If you want to do bulk operations, if you want to call the stored procedure for multiple times. Okay, so I am introducing a concept called batching. Batching means it will do a certain bulk operations in a single batch. So execute query will execute only one statement. Execute update will execute only one update statement. Whereas execute batch will execute how many every statements gets updated in the batch. So that is called add batch. So I'm having a call statistics call here and then setting the parameters set string set int add batch. This will be batch 1. Then another parameter is getting passed and this will be a batch 2. So when I
Batch
call
1, batch 2 is nothing but updation.
there is we are not sure like what based upon the calculate statistics we cannot decide. If you open the stored procedure in the database side, if it is update or insert, you'll get to know.
Okay, so okay, so the calculate statistics is the method which is already available in the database, and
Yes.
so whatever is whether if it is an update statement, then it will do an update. If it is an insert statement, then it will do an bulk insert.
Based upon the data what we are passing, I assume calculate statistics nothing but if I pass a value, it's gonna calculate a statistic and send me the value. That's what that method will do in the database. On a broader line, I'm saying, okay. So I'm passing the value and sending me back some calculation.
Okay.
Getting it?
Here we are sending only name and ID, so I don't know like what kind of calculation will be happening.
Yeah, the context is we don't need to dive much into that. Okay, I'm just saying on a broader level. Calculate statistics. Assume a calculate statistics database there in the database side. Okay. So your set string and set int. Okay, assume it can do insert or update. Anything can be done. We are just explaining it in a black box manner. Okay, you don't need to worry whether it's an update or insert. We are just focusing on the batch. Via this, we're gonna add these values in the batch. Leave the thing to calculate statistics. Calculate statistics will know what to do if I pass their parameters. Okay. And here, the last line you see, right? Execute batch. Here is the place you will get the update count. What this means is, it will list out to me all the arrays, like we have passed 2 batch. So 2 records will come here. 2, the array size will be 2. And it will be giving me, if there is an update has happened in the batch 1, it will be returning the number of rows affected. And similarly, if there is update has happened in the batch 2, the number of rows affected will come. Any questions here? So it will come like, any questions here?
Sorry, I didn't get the last thing.
So this is how it comes actually. Batch 1 and batch 2. Update counts. So 1 means when you execute this, is there any update has been happened in the database side? Assume one data has been updated, 1 row is updated in the backend. So it will return me 1. And
Okay.
for this batch, if assume it has 2 records got updated, so it will return me 2. Assume if you have a 3 batch and I have a 0 here, there is no records got updated, so it will return me 0. So this is what this update count array means, the execute batch. Okay.
So each time is going to give us the result, or like if we
Yes.
print.
If you print it, it will give.
Okay.
Execute batch always returns the array.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Now let's see about the out statement. You see the out statement. So far we have seen set string and set int. So register out. Out means getting the value assigned. So far we have assigned, we are getting the update counts. Now we assume calculate statistics gonna return you some value. In Java we have method returns, right? Method return type, return data. Like that, if calculate statistics is gonna return you the value, how are you gonna capture that? We can capture that using this register out parameter method, like 1, 2. 1 is varchar. Assume it is a string return and an integer return. You see this callable statement dot execute query result. In that result, I gonna get the string out 1 and out 2. That's it. You're getting the context? I'm repeating here. Assume the calculate statistics is a method similar to Java method, which is gonna return me 2 values, like integer or a string. So in this, first I need to register out the parameters 1, 2. You're gonna out these values and then for loop the result set and get that values printed. So after executing the callable statement, you can access these out parameters from the callable statement. That's what it's mentioned here.
Okay.
I'm just giving a classic use case. Okay, assume a transaction is being done for all the actions being carried out. For example, first assume account now from a bank account, $100 get transferred to another account, and then you are doing a subtracting for the first account. Assume 2 accounts, account A and account B. Okay, from account B, $100 is transferred to account B. So that means you are subtracting $100 in the first account and adding $100 in the second account. If the process fails, if the transaction is failed, you're gonna revert it. Means like if this process fails, you have subtracted the 100 from the first account and never added the second account. The money isn't lost. Okay. After doing the subtraction in the first account, when you are doing the addition in the second account, a transaction is break and the process failed. So what you will do, where the subtracted account will go, this will result in the cyber loss. Correct? A lot of transaction issues. 1 second. one account, you're sending amount to another account. So means you're subtracting in one account and adding in the second account. Assume you have subtracted in the first account. Before adding in the second account, your transaction is failed. So that means the subtracted 100 account is not added in the second account. So that is a transaction error. It is totally a coding issue. What you can do, how to come out of this? So what you will do is you do these things into a grouping manner. Grouping manner means you do subtraction as well as addition in a single shot, or you do this as a rollback mechanism. So just explaining how to solve this problem. To solve this problem, the subtraction and addition of $100 are grouped into a transaction. If the subtraction succeeds and addition fails, you can roll back the first transaction. The way the database is in the same state before the subtraction was executed. So you have to code in such a way that first do the subtraction and then do the addition. If the addition has failed, you need to roll back the subtraction. So to achieve that, I'm introducing a concept called set auto commit is equal to false. Okay, set auto commit is equal to false means you can roll back any data anytime you want. This is the syntax, connection dot rollback. And if your action is succeeded, assume your subtraction is correct, your addition is also correct, successfully done, then you don't need to roll back anymore. Means you can use connection dot commit. Okay, I'm repeating again. Transaction 1, I'm subtracting from the user A, and then transaction 2, I'm adding from the user B. Suppose while doing addition to the user B, my code is failing. Then I will use the code called connection.rollback. What it will do is, it will revert the subtraction from the user A. Means it will revert means it will do the opposite action. It will add the 100 rupees to the user A itself. This is one scenario. The second scenario is subtracting from user A, adding in the user B. Both are succeeded operations. Then I will call connection.commit. That means both the transaction, both the party are successfully, action is done. I can commit. I don't need to roll back. So this is a complete transaction. So in your banking industry or while you're doing a NEFT or RTGS, this is what is happening. Okay. So just giving a simple example, we have a statement, create statement. They're updating the John name in the ID is 123, and they're closing the statement. And then we are having another statement 2. They're updating the Gary's name, and then they're closing the statement. And then connection.commit. If any exception has happened, means they're calling the rollback. So means John and Gary will be updated in the name, and after that commit is called. Commit means you can't roll back. If any failure has happened while updating John or updating Gary, the exception will be calling. This exception, what it will do is it will do a rollback. Rollback means this query will be rolled back to the previous state. Okay. So I already spoke about batch updates, right? Executing batch, added batch. So this is a similar thing I want to show in the code wise. So let's see the code straight away. Statement connection.create statement. The statement.add batch. I'm passing this query, updating the John first name. And similarly, another batch. So totally we have 3 batch statements. And then statement.execute batch. and it will return me the rows affected. This is what the array I show, right? 1, 2, 3. So how many rows updated in the first batch, it will return in the first array, and in the second index array, in the third index array. And finally, I'm closing the blocks. So the int array is returned by the execute batch, telling how many records are affected by each executed statement in the batch. So batch updates, since I already explained more in detail, this is another code where you can see and refer how to call the add batch. I remember we used add batch in the callable statement. You can use any statements also. Normal statements also you can use for batch.
So add batch is available for all.
Exactly. Yeah. You see here, this is a prepare statement. Prepare statement means already executed cache statement. Gary, Larson, and Steinler. One batch, second batch, and then prepare statement dot execute batch. So we see callable statement, normal statement, no prepared statement. So batch is for doing the bulk operations. Let's see here. Most often we will be adding the batches from inside a for loop or a while loop. Each iteration loop will add one batch. In example of adding the batches. You see, for more records, like so far we have worked on one batch or two batch or three batch. We are not sure how many batch present in the system or a table. So for that, we go for a looping. You see, update statement is that prepared statement we created, and then from the persons class, persons list is there. From that persons list, I'm iterating that so that it's get added to a batch and then executing the batch. So persons is nothing but assume it is coming from the Java UI, this class, this collection, and then iterating the persons collection one by one. And for each person object, I'm adding a batch, and this count is, I'm not sure like how much persons will have, and this will execute the batch in one shot. So you're clear on this batch looping?
Okay.
It is important to keep in mind each update added to the statement is executed separately by the database. Some may succeed before one of them fails. All the statements are applied to the database, but the rest updates may not be. This results in the inconsistent data. To avoid this, you can execute the batch inside a Java transaction. When executed inside a transaction, you can make sure either all updates are executed and any successful updates can be rolled back in case of one fails. So what we are saying here is you are doing 100 batch here and making 100 updates here. If any one fail, you should roll back. How we can do that? We can do that using something called JDBC transaction. Okay. Yeah, let's see some quiz now. Which of the following is the advantage of using prepared statements in Java? Of using prepared statement, what is more advantage here?
Like it is enough if we parse and prepare the query once.
Like one of the benefit of prepared statement, right? I forgot to say, guys. Like it can help you to prevent SQL injection. SQL injection means if you are passing a query, select star from employee where username is equal to something and password is equal to something. Okay. There are a lot of intruders or SQL attackers or hackers can make your query parameter change and they can hack your database. Okay, with prepared statement, this can be avoided. So that's what, since we are setting the each and every parameters one by one, we can easily prevent the intruders from sending the anonymous values inside the database using prepared statement. But in the case of normal statements, the intruders can easily send the values in the parameters.
So what about callable statement?
Callable is also more safer one since we are using individual parameters being set.
So prepared statement and callable statement will prevent the SQL injection.
Better to use prepared statement always. Callable statement is not a regular scenario. They call it very rare scenario, but a prepared statement is it's a regular feature. So what does set commit false do?
So suppose as you explained, commit transaction after each query explicitly commits transaction, does not commit transaction automatically after each query, never commits. So it does not commit the transaction automatically after each query.
Yes, that's right. So commit false. By default, you should make it set commit false so that every query is not committed. You can't roll back when you commit your query. So for safer one, for exception handling, for exception scenarios or failure scenarios, you have to roll back. And then once everything success, you can commit it.
But the default value will be true, right? Suppose if we don't do the explicitly, if we don't define it false, so each and every transaction will get committed.
This doesn't commit transaction automatically after each query. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Which of the following statement is used to call the stored procedure?
Callable statement.
A lot of callable statements and more codes also. Which of the following is method used for JDBC batch process? Which method is used for batch process here?
Add batch.
Okay, yeah. Bulk operations we can do add batch. Similarly, we have seen a lot of add batches. Iterations also. Prepared statement can be used in the batch. Calculate callable statement can also be used. The normal statements also can be used. Which statement can be used to roll back a transaction? We have seen a typical banking exemption, right?
Roll back.
Yeah, there is no other methods like roll forward, delete, or remove. Only rollback. So rollback will act on the connection object. Connection.rollback. Here we go. This is the next hands-on which covers the topics so far. Create a Java main application to implement a banking teller operation. So we have a table name, bank customer, and the columns, customer ID, name, account number, account type, savings account or current account. Like that. And then another table called customer savings, that customer account number, customer account balance. And then another table called customer current. This is for maintaining customer current account. Account number, account balance. Okay. Making your columns simple, you can create like that. So action in the output. Money transfer action savings account. So OP1 means you want to transfer from this account to this account $1,000. You have to write a logic in the Java side. And similarly, if the user enters option 2 from account number and account number 2 and 2,000, this means he will send $2,000 from this savings account, this current account to this current account. And option 3 is from this user's saving account to this user's current account, you need to transfer $1,000. And option number 4 is from this account, from this current account, you need to transfer to this savings account $2,000. So this mix and match. You have a main customer table, savings account and current account. So you have to first is in the savings table itself, you have to subtract for one customer and add for another customer. And for second approach is you have to subtract from one customer and add in another customer. For a third approach is you have to subtract from the savings and add in the current for this operations. For the fourth operation, you need to subtract from the current and add it in the savings for the another customer. So this is how the operations. Any questions in this?
So here we need to use prepared statement.
You can use anything. Prepared statement. Subtraction means updating. Correct. updating
Yes.
this month. Yeah. Use prepared statement or normal statement. Anything is fine.
So subtracting from the first account and then adding the next account. Okay.
First, once you create a tables, create some data as like account number 1. He is having $10,000 as a balance, some $20,000 in balance in these. After that, you make these operations. Okay. Fine, guys. I'm pretty much covered for this today's session. Um, I will stop it now for questioners. Any questions? We will like to talk and discuss more as we have a little more time to complete. Yeah.
If we have time, we can just see the practical, maybe the task assignment 2, you can just do and show.
I'm expecting from you guys actually. Okay, this is a pretty simple one. Like you can start about working also in your side. Like if you have Eclipse, like you guys can start doing it. I can help in the middle way. Let's start with task assignment 1. With that, you can able to do 2. Like 2 is a little difficulty one, but you can still complete that. That's fine. Okay.
Right now I don't have the setup for the SQL, so I need to download.
Yeah, you can get that. Meanwhile, you can get that actually. Okay. And another thing, yeah, it's any questions or queries we are looking for from anyone else.
So you told that you will tell the interview questions.
Okay. So far, I covered is more or less a basic level interview questions. It's in the quiz pattern itself, you have been already covered. Okay. So what basically they are looking for is, yeah. Since you guys are focusing more on Java, like we need to understand more on the database side also. Like apart from the select query and update query, you guys need to understand more about the queries also, like what all the joins available in the query, like inner join or a right outer join or left outer joins. Like while focusing on JDBC API, you start learning about the SQL languages also, SQL query languages, what all the commands used. Okay, like the ranking commands or aggregate functions like that. So in the interviews, they can expect those commands also to be in your questions. Like I'm giving a simple example. They will ask, write a simple query to calculate maximum salary holder in this company. They will ask a query like that. So what I can do is this the query.
Are you writing? Are you writing somewhere? Because I'm able to see your PPT screen.
You see my screen, right?
Sorry?
You're able to see my screen, right?
No. I mean, I'm able to see your PPT screen.
Yeah, I'm writing over there only.
But we are not able to see what you're writing.
How about now? How about now?
Yeah, we can see.
So this is a query actually which helps you to get the top salary from the employee table. Okay. So like that, we have various queries available. Like what's expectation from you guys is that you guys also need to learn about the SQL tables or a SQL queries also. So insert into this is insert table. So this is another statement like where you will write the insert statement for employee who's 100 and Ashok is a name and his salary is details. So this is a simple insert query. And moreover, right, the use case I have given. So this is a practical one. So this is really a practical scenario, like what's really happening in the banking softwares. Like if you guys able to solve this, like you'll be able to cover the exact JDBC context, like what JDBC really doing in our side. Okay, and the questions also I repeat, right? This is a really a tricky questions, like it will cover major portions, and you can focus more on prepared statements. Prepared statements plays a major role in the performance wise. Like interview questions, like they will expecting you to answer everything in the prepared statement, and you can say like prepared statement is more performance wise good as the caching mechanism is involved in the database side, and it is also more secure as SQL injection preventer. Like SQL injections can be prevented in a prepared statement because we are not allowing the intruders to pass the values dynamically, as we are setting the values here for explicitly for one parameters. So that's the reason we are getting prevented from SQL injection. Okay, and another one I want to mention here is this set auto commit and false and rollback and connection commit. Okay, so by default set auto commit will be false. Sorry, it will be true actually. So you can expect questions here around in this place actually. Set auto commit true, and where you can use a rollback, like after you do a commit, whether a rollback is allowed. No, we can't use rollback. Okay, and similarly commit is only applicable for connection objects. So another one, you see here this some simple code. In every try block you are having the codes written, and every finally block they have written the closure statements. Like they are closing the statements, in the finally block, and finally they are closing the connection. So have you heard about try catch blocks as you've been covered in a previous scenarios, previous sessions?
Yes.
Okay, what is the finally block means?
Even if there is an exception occurs or not, the finally block will get executed.
Yeah, that's right. So finally block is a block which gets executed every time. So it is always good to place your close statements inside finally block. No matter your code is breaked somewhere, you have to close the statements, close the connections, because that will consume more memory. So that is the reason we need to release all these statements by using close statements inside a finally block. This will be also a typical scenarios in your coding standards and the interview questions. Okay.
So even in the task assignment 2, you have asked us to do the transaction. So there also we need to do the finally log.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
So even if the execution fails, also we need to close the connection.
Exactly correct. I guess I'm pretty much covered with the interview questions also. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Over to you, Nandini. Nandini, like, do you want to convey anything?
No, nothing, Prasanna. Thanks for your time. Will you send this PPT over to me so that I can circulate to all the participants?
Yeah, sure. Definitely, I'll do that.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, team. Thanks for
Thank
joining.
you.
Have a great day.